we now move on to individual effectiveness part 2, where we continue to talk about the personality types, and we'll get into the discussion of what needs to be done for things. So we bring all these things to the organization. And then there's the environment, and that's the organization, the work group, job, other people in your life. And together, that reaction of your skills to the environment results in behavior. Now, when we go to look at Myers-Briggs, remember, they are preferences. We tend to adapt our behavior to situation. It's learned, okay? We engage in, if you're an E, we have to engage in times I behavior. So we learn how to balance that. But our strongest preferences remain constant over time. No matter what kind of mood you're in, how long life changes you, those that if you have a strong preference, those are going to be there for most of your life. Do you need to act which is not preference? Yes, you learn to adapt. Okay? So we somehow got to be aware of what's going on. Now, from a managerial perspective, the more I understand myself and others, I can build a better, solid team. If you as an individual know what your personality is and what's there, you can be successful too by recognizing it in others and how to interact with them. Let me give you a few stories from my background. The first is E and I. And remember, you get energy versus introversion. So we would oftentimes at the bank, we'd have customer events, customer parties, recognition events, different things where customers would be there networking. Okay? So if I go to a networking event and there's 30 people there, I will talk to about 30 people. Will I go deep with them? No, not at all. Now, do I want to just stand and have a deep conversation with 1, 2, or 3 people? That's probably not me. So how did I use this in my job? Well, what I did is, as we had these networking events, I would take the team member that was an I and try to have them talk in depth with just a couple of people that we were trying to achieve something with. For those that are comfortable talking to everybody, they had a different purpose in just getting to know and putting a name out there. So what I tried to do is get people, they have to be involved in the networking activity, but I used the E's to talk to everybody. If I would have told the I's to go talk to 20 people, would have they done it? Yes. Would have they been successful or happy with it? Probably not. But it's what I was trying to do. So that's one example. The other thing is I happen to be a pretty strong P. I don't always look to get things done. Now, I've always had an administrative assistant who was a J. And the reason I had that is she could keep me on track. So at one point, I had to review and sign every performance review of everybody on the team. And some months that was 75/80. So what she would do, a day or two before it's due, she'd come into my office, close the door, set me down, and say, okay, we are now going to go and do this. She needed that closure. I didn't. Okay? Do I have to be aware of it? Yes. Do I have to do it? Yes. But I surrounded myself with her because she could do that. At the same time, she needed to go through things step by step by step, where I have a grand picture and hope that it works. But she was able to take care of the details because that's her preference, was details, where I'm not as much on that. So that was another way that I did that. When I would do tax returns, and I still do, depending if they were an intuitor or a sensor, let's just take, if they were an engineer, I could, for example, and I'm stereotyping, but if they were in sensor, they need the details. So I'd give them a fact finder and it would come back all prepared. Everything filled in perfectly. Now, I give that to somebody that's an N, they're not going to fill it out. Okay, they're going to bring all their stuff and we're going to have to walk through it. So it's by observing and we knowing you can compensate for your weaknesses and use the other people's. There's just a few ideas. Now, some of you will get this right away. Others of you may need to go back and do it. Rewind it. See it. So that's a little bit about Myers-Briggs. Again, it's a preference, but we learn to adopt. The next thing is type A and type B personalities. Now, this is out here interesting, but start by taking the Jenkins activity survey. Here's the link. There's no right or wrong, and it's from your perspective as a student. So stop now, do it, and come back with your score. Okay, just a little, again, this is how people do things. This type A, type B. And again, we're sort of, we engage in both type A and type B. It's what becomes the predominance in our lives. So if we take a look here, is type A people tend to be full of fluctuations, a lot of things going on, jumping on, where a type B person may be relatively calm. Okay? Type A people keep going. Going. Type B people need to take a break from time to time to reflect. Type A, highly organized. Type B, less organized. I try to be organized. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Type A, sometimes more competitive, more relaxed. That mine has changed over the years. Type A people take on challenges, push themselves. Type B, doing what they enjoy. And type A, very concerned with time management. And type B's work steadily. Winning is important, enjoy games and competitions. So again, these are neither right nor wrong, but they give you a sense of your personality type. So we bring both of these type things into the workforce, as we said. So we look at it from our individual perspective, and then as a manager or a leader, we take these things into account as to how we perform work and how do we engage with people at work to get the maximum effectiveness out of them. Okay, so what is the instructions for the reflections? Let's start up on top, flow chart here. You've completed the Myers-Briggs and type A and type B assessments. State your results. That's the first thing. Then review the following slides that discuss Myers-Briggs. They describe words, behaviors, actions, etc. There's a lot of them out there. So what I'd like you to do is read them and perhaps highlight what hits you. The next thing is I'd like you to create a profile or picture of yourself for each of the letters. So take each letter and create a picture of you. Okay? Look at some of the words. Do it creatively. Take some of the words, the behaviors, the attributes, so that you can get a picture of yourself. Okay? So you're going to do it for all four. You can do it in PowerPoint. You can use pictures. You can use memes. Anything you'd like. But the goal is, and I want you to be a little creative, because remember, last week's reflection was on creativity. And sometimes we tend to box ourselves in and just be creative, okay? Remember, these are preferences, okay? Yes, we do the other things, but it's trying to find the right preference. Once you have your picture of you, that's good. I don't have a preconceived, I do have a little bit of an idea, but make it yourself, okay? Then address, next paragraph, how can you use this in your future career or education? How could this be useful to you, knowing something, what your preference is, and what things may you have to work on, what things can you leverage? Then, is there something you need to be cautious on? Okay? Like making sure you plan to do things instead of just run by the seat of your pants? How might you deal with someone who has opposite preferences? And the last thing is consider written, audio, video, and audio. Now, I'm not going to walk through this, but what you can see here is there's a lot of words and things.